Hello friends, welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. Today is day 2 of our week of potholders, and these are for gifts or for a potholder ministry like the one my mom has. If you want to know more about it, I'll link the first video where I explain it all in the description below. But I want to read you the poem that she puts on all of her potholders that she gifts. God made you like a potholder, beautiful in every way. In a kitchen you are exquisite, hanging on display. God is happier if you are useful, helping others along the way. He sees you as more beautiful when your edges begin to fray. So if you would like to use this in your ministry or in your gift giving, you are welcome to do it. It is something that my almost 90-year-old mother wrote. Her name is Millie Maxon, and she is constantly giving. Okay, today we're going to make a large potholder, and I'm not going to let you see it just yet, but we are going to use all these wonderful jelly roll strips for it. This is a jelly roll by Riley Blake. Gingham Sundry, I believe, was the name I saw on the edge. And it's just a bunch of beautiful fabrics that all coordinate together. And the strips are 2.5 inches wide by the length of the fabric. And they're all stacked up and rolled up into a nice little roll. And it's called a jelly roll. Okay, the reason we're going to make a big one is because we need some at my church. These are the kind of pans that we often serve at our dinners and potlucks and anything that we're making in large quantity. And I end up putting a kitchen towel down to set them on because it would take a whole bunch of potholders. And you want something to protect your surface. For today's project, I am using a piece of Insulbright. This is Insulbright. You can buy it by the yard, and I think it's on sale at Hobby Lobby right now for 40% off. And it is insulated batting, so it will protect your table or your hands from the heat. And I highly recommend this over just regular batting. So I have a piece of Insulbright that I cut 15 by 21. My final potholder is going to be 13 by 20, which is the perfect size to hold one of those big pans. I had this piece of a golden fabric that in my stash that we're going to use as a background, on the back of it I mean. And then the rest of this is a jelly roll from Riley Blake called Gingham Sundry. So the first thing we need to do is starch and iron our fabric. I am using this Best Press that I order off of Amazon by the gallon. Mine is lavender. It comes unscented and other scents, and then I put it in a spray bottle. It's a good idea to let it soak in for a little while, but in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and iron it. Now, I'm going to take and find an assortment of these jelly roll pieces to use and iron the ones I need. So I will do that off camera and be right back with you. Okay, I have a stack of 17 different prints. I was able to get a different print for every piece I'm going to use. Now you can just use scraps, whatever. We're just going to use small pieces of most of these. And the first thing I'm going to do, I've put them in the order I want to use them. The first thing I'm going to do is cut off a 3-inch piece. Of the first two. I'm going to lay them aside. We won't be using those again. Then I'm going to take my batting, my Insul Bright, and my background piece. I am going to use a little bit of this spray adhesive, 505 temporary spray. I think there's some other brands out there too. Be careful not to overspray. It'll get on things, or to put too much on, because it can gum up your needle if you're not careful. And I'm just using this so the backing will stay nice and smooth as I'm sewing. Now I want to fold it in half and find a center somewhere right in there, and then fold it in half this way and find the center there. So that's my center piece. I'm going to smooth this a little better. Even give it a little iron. There, that's much better. Now I'm going to take this first piece, this little floral print, and I'm going to fold it. Just put a finger press in it and fold it this way so I can find the center of it. And I'm going to match that center up with this center, and hopefully it's going to be parallel to all sides. And the reason I make this bigger is because sometimes I get a little bit off on one piece, and so that affects all the rest of them. The next thing I'm going to do is pin this one right on top of it, right sides together. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and stitch a 1/4 inch seam there, and then I'll be back and show you. I'm going to take the pin out, open it up, press it just a little, even though I won't be pressing all of them from this point on. Now, the next thing I want to do, cut off the selvage of this. There's the fabric type, Gingham Foundry by Riley Blake. And I'm going to lay this on here. I'm going to cut it a little bit extra, not much, just a hair. And line it up with this edge and take a 1/4 inch seam and then open that up. Then I will take my next fabric and sew it and open it up. And we're going to go in circles till we get a big square, and then we'll add a couple pieces on each end. So you can just watch me as I stitch this. I won't be coming back over to the cutting table between each row. Okay, I'm going to show you even my mess ups here, but as you can see, I started cutting these a little bit too short over here, but I measured it. I'm still going to be okay. So be careful. I was concentrating on keeping my seams parallel with the outside edges, and I didn't do a very good job of stitching it to the edge. I want to take this now, and I'm going to iron it real good, and then we're going to cut it down to size. My iron is not as hot as it should be, but we'll iron it again. I'm going to cut this edge first. trying to keep it parallel with the batting, the Insulbright that I originally cut. I'm sorry if I'm knocking the camera. But this is why I always make things bigger, so I can handle mistakes. Which I'm always going to make on camera, it seems like. So I'm cutting this 13, and that's a little bit too much showing there. I'm going to have to cut it down just a hair more. So this one won't be quite the size I intended it to, but I am sure it will still keep that pan from burning the table. Then I want it 20 inches long. I think I'm going to cut that just a hair more. So I don't have to cut quite as much off of the other one. Okay, as you can see, it's slanting down in a few places, and that's mainly because it's very hard to pay attention to what you're doing when you're videoing too, but it won't matter for what I'm going to use it for. I just apologize I couldn't have done a better job for you to have seen. Now I have 2 strips of the same fabric. It's going to take 2 that I'm going to use for binding. And if you want to do a real professional looking binding that is hand stitched on the back, refer to my last video, day 1, and you can do the binding that way. But this one we're going to do a machine binding. I put these fabrics at right angles. I'm drawing a mark across from corner to corner so that when I sew this and open it up, it's going to be one continuous seam. And the reason we do it corner to corner instead of just butting the ends together is to distribute the bulk of it across our pot holder. So I'm going to sew that seam real quick and iron it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I just noticed something. I have 2 prints that are the same, so I lied when I said I had all unique prints. I thought they were, but they're not. But that doesn't matter either. Okay, we're going to sew this completely by machine. And this is the way I normally do my pot holders and placemats. And this is very similar to a placemat. So I'm going to start on the back instead of the front like when we hand sew. And I'm going to leave a pretty big piece before I start sewing. And that's so we can properly join it when we get around the corner. When I get to the edge, I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch right up and stop a 1/4 inch before the edge. Then I'm going to fold this so that it's at a 45-degree angle there. Then fold it back so that this fold lines up with the edge. Then I'm going to start a 1/4 inch in and sew all the way down to a 1/4 inch from the edge again, and repeat that all the way around. And after I turn this last curve, I'm going to stop and I'll show you how we're going to join the two edges. Okay, now that I've got these two strings here, I'm going to lay it down flat and make them meet, and then just come up a 1/4 inch and cut them. Then I'm going to open them out, and this is why I leave a lot of it unsewn here. It's just easier to sew this seam if you've got a long stretch on both sides that's not sewed down. I'm going to take my 1/4 inch seam there, and then I will lay it back down and finish sewing this last seam. Now we want to turn this to the front, and I'm going to iron it around the edges here. Now my iron's hot. While I'm at it, I'm going to steam this real good too. Cut off my loose threads. Now we're going to fold it over and use our clips and I'm going to clip it about 3 times on each side. Need to iron that a little better. And at the corners, the way we do the corners is we want them to be mitered. So we will lay this out smooth to the edge, and it will be a triangle there, and then we turn it up, and it should meet right there at the point. and I will adjust it at the machine as I go too. It's kind of hard to get it pinned exactly right. It's easier to do it when you're stitching. We pull this out smooth, then fold this back in until your points meet. Lay it out smooth, then fold it up till your points meet. Lay it out smooth, fold it up till your points meet. Now I'm going to take this over to the machine and I'm going to edge stitch it right close to the edge all the way around. Okay, we are done. I am going to give it a really good steam press. And call it good. I apologize that some of my lines aren't real straight, but I'm going to pretend that I meant for it to be that way. And these aren't perfectly straight either, but I think they're a little better than that one. I think how I will do it in the future is iron between every piece, and then I can eyeball if my seam's straight and correct it if it's not. It's just, that takes a lot of time, and I don't want to take that kind of time on our videos. My pan, although it's warped a little, there, will sit perfectly on either one of them. Nobody will even know that it's crooked. And it will serve a very good function at my church. So let me read this poem to you one more time. God made you like a potholder, beautiful in every way. In a kitchen you are exquisite, hanging on display. God is happier if you are useful, helping others along the way. He sees you as more beautiful when your edges begin to fray. So if you were going to gift this to someone, I'd attach one of these poems on there. Okay, thank you for joining me. Tomorrow we're going to do another potholder with a different type of edge finish, and I hope you will join me for that too, for my week of potholders. If you are new to the channel, it would help if you would subscribe so I can bring more videos. If you've been here before, I appreciate it if you would like and leave me a comment. Thank you, and remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord.